Hey folks, welcome to part 2 of our initial burn-in and seasoning video for our new 20x42 Lone Star Grillz offset smoker. Thanks for hanging with us. I hope the information here on these two videos is helpful. If you weren't able to watch the first one, you should go back and do that because it sort of lays the groundwork for what's happening here in part 2. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, we just crossed the 1 hour mark. And we've settled in pretty well at about 225. You can hardly even tell this thing is smoking. This baby is rock solid. I came out here at this time because I think it's probably about time to put on one of our next splits here. I think I got another piece of cherry there and also a piece of oak. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna stoke this, pull the coals together, throw a new split on, and shut her down. See how she goes. Alright folks, one thing that really stands out to me about this Lone Star offset that is awesome is how responsive it is. The previous offset that I owned was not of the quality of Lone Star. Now it was not a cheap Home Depot special. I mean, again, if you've seen some of my previous videos, it was a heavy 650 pound offset smoker with a vertical unit on it, and I bought it used on Craigslist for much cheaper than it retailed for, but retail was $18.49 on that thing, which is actually about $50 more than these retail for. And I fought and fought and fought with that thing, and I gave up on it. I finally sold it again to someone else, and I just never had much fun with it. It was very intensive, time intensive. If I made the slightest mistake, I would pay for it in time, trying to get things back under control one way or the other. Too hot, too cold, whatever. This thing, I'm making little tiny adjustments with the firebox damper on the door there, and it's showing up on the thermometer within moments. And what's really noticeable is how easy it is to cut back the temperature. As you know, in smoking, if you lose control of your fire, it's really hard to get things cooler. It's real easy to get things hotter, but it's a lot harder to get things cooler. And on this one, I've been able to, even when I'm overshooting a little bit on my temps, or adding a new log and temps are jumping up a little bit, I have been able to crank that down and within just a couple minutes get 10-15 degrees shaved off and then adjust from there. So I'm really happy with the responsiveness. It's really easy to control temps. I'm not a barbecue pro. There's a lot of guys watching these videos and on the forums who know a lot more about smoking than I do and who know a lot more about offsets than I do. And yet even for me, maybe a medium level amateur, this has been incredibly easy on the first burn-in here today, the first cook, just getting the temps settled in exactly where I want them. So that's good news for anybody out there like me who's thinking about buying one, and wondering, you know, I don't have much offset experience, or I've had a bad offset experience. Hey, I'm right there in the same boat with you, and this Lone Star is really good at what it's supposed to do. All right, y'all, 2 hour mark. We are rocking at right about, let's see, what would that be? 235. Rocking at 235. I came out here about 15 minutes ago and stoked things. The firebox needed a little bit of attention that way. I am guessing at this point we're going to need to add our next split. You know, maybe not. This guy's looking like he's in pretty good shape. I might actually just, what I'm going to do is, because again, I don't want to get this thing cranking up too hot, so I'm afraid if I add another split at this point, I might do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take us from about a quarter open to about 40% of the way open, less than half. I think what I'll do is I'll just let her rock here between 225 and 250 for about 15 more minutes before I add this next split. Because again, if I was doing a cook, wouldn't care at all if I threw a split in there and it jumped up to 275. But since we're curing the paint and we're not supposed to go over 250, probably take the manufacturer's advice on this one. So I will not bother you with a video at that point. Again, I've done a couple things without taking videos, but I'm sure at this point you guys are saying, hey, it's good that you're thorough, but TMI, dude. We're already at 2 videos here on one burn-in. So from here on out, I'll probably just give you updates at the 3, 4, 5 hour mark and tell you what I've done in between if I had to do anything. All right? Maybe save you a little time. All right, we just hit the 3 hour mark. This died down a little bit on me. I went inside to eat dinner and haven't played around with it in a while. However, after the last video, at the 2 hour mark, I spent about the next 20 minutes babying this fire because it had gone out, or it hadn't gone out, but I'm so paranoid about going over the 250 mark for this initial burn-in that I sort of lost my coal bed, and by only adding 1 stick at a time and adding it too late, I really let things die more than I should have. So it took me about 20 minutes. I used about 5 or 6 briquettes and another lighter cube and a new log to sort of supplement and get all that going again. Took about 20 or 30 minutes. Then I went inside and ate dinner. It was holding pretty steady when I left, but I had cranked the damper door down when I went inside to eat dinner. I left it at about halfway just because I didn't want it shooting up over 250 while I was eating dinner. So that's why it had dropped almost down to 200 during the last 30 minutes while I was eating dinner. And as you could see when I opened the door, didn't have a whole lot of fuel left. But it was still better than last time. And now I just threw in a new log. I stoked things. I got it all recentered and built back up. Getting a nice coal bed down there again. And so I'm about to shut the door down and go another hour. And I'll give you an update at the 4 hour mark. Alright, I left her unattended for almost 40 minutes, 45 minutes, because got my first big cook tomorrow and needed to run to Costco and load up. However, same thing happened as when I took a break for supper earlier. I lost almost a degree a minute. Got home and I was down to around 200, meaning I lost about somewhere between 30 and 40 degrees. And I think the reason for that is because I'm just being too paranoid with this thing. Leaving it unattended during its burn-in was making me a little nervous, so I had the damper down a little below half, and because of those new logs, or that new log I had just put in, I thought we were stable around 240 with the damper about halfway open, but obviously it peaked and then started to come back down, so I need to figure that out. I need to do a better job of tuning this thing in, but it's definitely operator error, and it is not the Lone Star, because the rest of the times when I've been out here monitoring it like a hawk, I've been able to do exactly what I wanted to with precise temperature changes and tuning. And as you can see, obviously as well, I need some more wood in there, and I need to pull those coals together, and I'm once again in danger of doing what I did at supper time and losing my fire. All right, we just gave our 4 hour update a few minutes ago, and before we get to our 5 hour, which I am going to call our final update, I want to update you on the actual seasoning that's going on inside. You've seen the inside of the firebox several times since we started, but you have not seen the inside of the smoker or the griddle. If you remember, this griddle was just a gray steel plate when we started, and I put a ton of Pam on it, and we got that sucker, if you remember, up to above 450 degrees, and it has already taken on a beautiful copper, and obviously the seasoning on that is going well, and over time that'll get better and better. We'll turn that into some cast iron. In here Wow, I just got a facial. Same thing. We're already bronzing up. These were gray. These were silver, just like the rest of the unpainted metal on this grill, and everything is taking on a beautiful copperish bronze color. We're darkening up really nicely. Um, it's hard to tell because the sunlight reflection actually makes it look like we haven't, but I can tell you it's looking nearly black inside here already. Definitely that same dark chocolate color that we had going on the griddle. The only parts that aren't are down low, but obviously as we cook and grease this baby up, those are going to season in no time at all. All right, folks, we're just over 5 hours in. This will be the last video. This will close out our seasoning series on the LSG 20 by 42. It's a little after 8 o'clock p.m. and we're just over 200 degrees on the pit right now. I'm just going to let her die out over the next hour and roll her back into the garage. So all in all, she'll get close to 6 hours of seasoning, but learned some important lessons today about fire management. Again, I've only had an offset smoker once before, and that only lasted about 6 months. I hated it. I love this one already. I can already tell it's a completely different level of quality. And since it's seasoned up now, I'll be able to be a bit more aggressive tomorrow on the first cook in my fire building and not let those coal beds die out as easily. I will definitely keep those built up because that's the problem I've been having today with these small fires, one stick at a time, is just uh, things dying out on me. So we'll learn, get better, and tomorrow we will have an epic smoke fest with a whole bunch of meat. So stay tuned for that video. That'll be coming out soon. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.